Okay, greetings and welcome to another episode of Pop's Collection. I'm Ron Tweedy. Joining me is Pops, and we're together in Florida.
Yes, we are.
And we're going to be talking about Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1.
That's right, part one.
And this came out recently, right?
Yes, it did a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Basically, well, depending upon when this episode comes out, 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the part two is coming out on August 10th, which I am looking forward to.
Yep.
This was a really, really good story that they actually, it was like a 16-issue comic.
Right.
And later in this year of 2021, I think October, they're actually going to put it in graphic novel style, which is, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to read it then.
Right. The original story by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Yes.
To the credits, which, Jeff Loeb has a lot of input in the Daredevil TV series, so obviously there's a good connection there.
Yes, definitely. So Ron, I know it's not your thing, DC animation, but what did you think?
No, it was fine. I mean, the story is really interesting. I mean, the angle of Batman, not a seasoned Batman, but a relatively newer Batman, coming into his own as the world's greatest detective. He's not that in this story, and there's a serial killer on the loose that's killing on holidays, and him trying to find who the killer is. And so as part one, of course, it's kind of a cliffhanger ending, but interesting story.
Yes, and like I like to call it, and some others, Batman Year Two.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we see that he's flawed.
Yeah.
And we also see his relationship with Selena Kyle.
Yeah. Right.
Which I thought was interesting. And also Harvey Dent. I have to tell you that it's one of the stories that I've never read. And once I got this, I decided that I'm not going to read it until I, see both ends of the story, because I want to be surprised.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying.
I mean, with this particular part one, you felt like, oh, it's probably this guy. Oh no, maybe it's this guy.
Right.
And we do get some versions in this of all of Batman's mega villains, I'm going to say, because they do go to Arkham.
Right.
And they see Mr. Day, who is...
Yeah, that's a mega villain, Calendar Man, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, in this story it is. We know there's a lot of B tier and C tier Batman villains, but
right.
In this particular one, because of the development of the story, Falcone and Maroni, who are mob guys, are major villains in this.
That's right.
And very, very interesting the way they chose to do the story. As a matter of fact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Titus Welliver plays Falcone in this.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him from Bosch on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
But if you ever saw him, you could see how it's kind of interesting. He's playing a detective.
Yeah.
And in this case, he's playing a mob boss. So kind of interesting, I thought.
Okay.
The character of Harvey Dent was done real well.
Yep.
And I felt like they told the story. They did a lot of character development that slowed it down a little bit.
I guess. I mean, I thought that was a little bit more interesting than some of the other pieces. You know, kind of remind me of a lot of the Harvey Dent stuff was very reminiscent of the Dark Knight.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, except in the Dark Knight did not have a wife,
right?
if I'm not mistaken.
No, they had the character, the what's her name? She was played by Maggie Gyllenhaal in the
Oh
second
yeah,
film.
right.
Right, that was his love interest.
Right.
Right,
The
they made it.
assistant district attorney.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on what her character name is.
Yeah, well, it happens. You're getting a little older.
I
You
guess.
still have a lot more hair than I've got.
Yeah.
But, the mind goes before the hair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yes, her name was. Now you're gonna kill me. I'm gonna just forget about it. We'll figure it out, and we'll share it when we cover the Long Halloween Part 2.
Okay.
All right, just
All right.
only because I can't remember her name either. But it's killing me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how bad it is. But
Yep.
we could always look it up, I guess, right?
I guess.
Anyways, so you felt that the story flowed pretty well?
Yeah,
Good.
I do.
Good.
I mean, the fact is that you're kind of hitting the highlights throughout the year of all of these holidays. So you start off with Halloween, obviously, as
Yes.
the title suggests. Then you go to Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And that's kind of where the film Part 1 ends.
Right, at New Year's.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the New Year's murder
Mm-hmm.
is one of the prime suspects.
Right. So it kind of throws you off with, who the most likely suspect was at that point. They kind of eliminated that possibility.
Right, but for a while there, you thought it might be the Joker.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we think it might be somebody else.
Right.
There's the one thing that's enjoyable about this is the fact that you can look at it and, some movies or some shows you watch and, 15 minutes into the show, you kind of already got the gist of who's
Right.
the bad guy.
Right.
Even though it's not implied, but you've already figured it out.
Yeah.
This one, no way. And again, if
you read the graphic novel ahead of time, you probably know who it is.
Right. But when I knew this was coming out, I said, I'm not reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't read it before, so.
Yeah, I got a few issues into it when we were preparing for our Dark Knight episode, but I didn't finish it, so. Yeah.
Well, good. So you were just as surprised. And I hope pleasantly.
Sure.
Okay, so, and how do you feel about the Gordon character in this?
It's funny. It's a lot different than the Gordon character in year one. I think that he's kind of progressed as a person. He's had a lot of character development, and his marriage is a lot stronger than it's kind of been through some trials, and you can see them coming out stronger this time around.
Yes, and 2 children.
Yeah, so you have that. And it's kind of a contrast to Harvey Dent, where he and his wife, they're not surviving the same challenges.
No, they're not. And it's been a struggle for them.
Yeah.
And here we kind of learn in this that she used to be maybe a nanny, I'm guessing, or something like that put her through law school.
Right.
But she's not a lawyer.
Not a practicing lawyer.
Not a practicing lawyer.
Right.
No. And it seems like she has issues with children.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what her mental state is, but we get some pictures of it through this storyline. So
right.
Kind of interesting to see how that is going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely enjoyed the teaser at the end. I think that really got me motivated to I cannot wait till part 2 comes out.
Okay.
They did a good job of that.
Yeah.
Which is what they're supposed to do.
Sure.
If they're going to make the story right.
Sure.
Which, again, I loved the animation itself. I felt like they made Gotham really nice and dark through the whole thing.
Hmm.
Made the city part uh, just look more like it was where all the basic crime was, and then you had neighborhoods,
Hmm.
middle class neighborhoods that
Sure.
were just slightly lighter.
Hmm.
I thought so. I
Yep.
thought that they did a real good job of that.
Sure.
But we did get a lot of grays, definitely. And again, we got to see Solomon Grundy,
Yes.
and we saw a little bit of some of the other characters when they were in Arkham,
Yeah.
but nothing. You just knew that Batman put him there.
Actually, Dent put him there,
Oh,
according to the
right.
story.
Dent. He.
Batman.
Right.
Batman's preference was to put them all in, Gotham Penitentiary.
Right. Which begs to question. He felt that Dent was right in putting him there.
Yeah.
So, again, is that because he's not a seasoned Batman that he wanted to put him in the penitentiary, or had? I
Like,
think the penitentiary would be too easy for him.
well, I think the idea, at least for Dent wanting to put them into Arkham, it was the hope that they could be reformed and they could, go back to society at some point if they dealt with some of the issues that they're dealing with. I think that's what the idea is. But at the same time, Batman, he said it was the right decision, but he wouldn't have made that decision. So,
No, I mean, let's face it. We get a lot of the Joker
Mhm.
in this, and
Yeah.
he is definitely the way that they portray this character.
Yeah.
He is definitely psycho above psycho.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
we saw just before New Year's that he was willing to gas 50% of the population.
Yep.
Because he wanted to kill the holiday killer.
Right.
And he felt that he had a 50-50 chance.
Right. That was his best chance.
Yeah.
So
that was definitely you're thinking, wow.
which interestingly enough, is kind of harkens back to like Harvey Dent's, mo. Him doing
50-50 shot,
So,
right? Right, and
which makes me think he's probably the holiday killer.
well, I thought
All of the guys in Arkham seem to think so. I don't know. It just seems to me like that's what they're telegraphing ahead of time.
well, yeah, but maybe they're doing that because they want to get back at Dent. They're vindictive against Dent.
Well, yeah.
People at Arkham. So
Yeah.
he's going to automatically be the bad guy.
Yeah.
So
Could be.
wow. Again, done very well, and it's basically an attack on the Falcone family.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it makes you wonder who is the person.
Mm-hmm.
So every character in there was good. I can't think of anything that I can think bad about as far as the story went.
Sure.
It just seemed to me the story, the way it developed, it was 84 minutes, but it felt like it was longer.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Mm-hmm. All of the different character development in it, and the way they spent time on each individual character. Even with Bruce Wayne and Alfred, why do we have the gate open? It's Halloween. Like, really, kids are going to come to Wayne Manor to get candy?
Right.
And at Dent's house, they weren't coming either. And he's saying we're going to be eating the candy for a couple months. Which you can't relate to that, can you?
No. Unfortunately.
Well, in our area, we don't have trick-or-treaters, so
right.
We don't bother buying candy because nobody comes, and we would wind up having to eat it.
Right.
So
right.
Not good for me. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so we got that. We got to see Barbara Gordon as a little child, and
Yes.
I believe she idolized her father,
Mm-hmm.
but she did also feel like he didn't give her enough time. And I guess it was fair at this point because we learn in this story that he's now Captain
Mm-hmm.
Gordon.
Right.
So, not yet commissioner,
Right.
but he's basically on call 24/7.
Right.
And we kind of saw him at New Year's that he was very involved in his work.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you could see like he almost was ignoring his wife at one time,
Mm-hmm.
but then it was his priority to make sure that she got away safe.
Right.
So a man who loves his family and his job,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess juggling it pretty decently in this version.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see.
Yes, I guess we will. Yes, because as little Barbara said, all she wanted was
Right.
him.
Right.
So anyways, all right, so what else? Anything else you want to talk about?
No. It was a fine movie.
Good. So it's worth it. If you don't own it, buy it and watch it. You'll like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it an 8 on my scale.
Okay.
And you?
7. It's a great movie for what it is.
Yes, well, it is what it is, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
All right.
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next week, and you all have a great week. Goodbye and God bless.
Yes, goodbye, God bless, and tell your friends.